focused on really, and we're getting the message out. You can't walk through these halls without seeing those messages, and that we're putting out in many, many different ways. Students may not like some of that. There's a lot of, actually, we had that speaker, Josh Weiner, in, who said, the data seems to show if you give students less choices, they actually have a better completion rate. And that's not always the thing that the students like, or even given faculty member might like. But we can see if we can do some surveying, get some survey data, as we can do some satisfaction data.
Perhaps there's also a role that Annabelle can play in this, being from the students. Obviously, I think our student trustees should be involved if we're trying to get some feedback.
It's a question you can ask at your meetings.
Sure.
Because it sounds like what you're telling us right now is that the one that you've really heard about is the dance program thing, and it's not overall with a lot of other issues.
I'm working on that. A majority of classes I have taken with the dance department, that has been what I've been hearing. Most of my other classes have been prerequisites, which a lot of those classes are completely filled. So I never really hear anything about the enrollment or the drop process from them. It's usually the dance department that doesn't have as many students in the class. Unfortunately, I haven't had the opportunity to take classes from either the culinary department or engineering. I haven't had the opportunity to take those classes, but I will take into account that their feedback is important and try and get as much information as I can.
Very good.
Okay.
Might be a good place to go and ask.
I think, you know what, I think Bill has a really, I think, Bill, you have a really good point. I mean, while the student body does not like to be really dropped, but we can learn a lot more in adversity, and maybe there's something we can glean from the process and maybe improve it somehow. So I think that's a really good point. I hear a lot of top-down here. I'm hearing a lot of top-down, and I understand that being part of the top going down, but I understand that from a budgetary standpoint. But I think that bottom up could be a very advantageous position as far as getting additional information. And I guess I had another question. How are these drops? How are these things communicated? Besides the chair making phone calls, how else are these? Like you have 2 weeks. How are they communicated? How are those?
Students are emailed and called at their classes.
Emailed and called.
But-
And texted.
And text.
And
Thank you.
texted.
Thank you. That's a good word. Yeah.
And they're alerted during the whole registration process that in fact they're called anytime even, and we split up some of the names. I called 10 students to see, many of the administrators did, and then you've got the recruiters and student development texting, making calls, the coaches are doing that. So it's
Is there one location where they can go and I'm visualizing very quickly because this is certainly I've put zero thought into this, but if there is a website or a part of on the website, a place where you can go see the countdown. There's 5 students. You got 3 days. Everybody can see it.
You can see that information within PeopleSoft and how many students are registered. I don't know that a student, if they looked at that, would know, okay, if it gets to 10, I know the class is going to run.
That's very simple though, right? That's very, no? No, okay.
No, but I tell you what, we are
Technology, I'm thinking you got 5 days, you got 5 students. If this doesn't happen in 3 days, this class is out of here.
Will we be able to work at every class?
Technology, if I can be in Russia and, make a phone call to turn my water, make sure my pipes are working, certainly we can do that for classes. I'm just, technology, I'm obviously an advocate of more technology, so is that a big deal?
Because maybe it's a fluid number.
It is.
Well, it is, but let me just mention, we've gone through a whole process. We've mentioned to you the SEM process, where you might remind, where we are on that and how that fits into the whole plan and what we're doing. So maybe just take a minute to.
Well, the one of the things that I thought you were headed down, and this kind of goes to the question of process, is we have established a one-stop center before the semester starts. So there's one place where students can go should they get dropped, it's one place where they can go and get everything
Okay. that's good.
taken care of from us.
That's
and
a
that was-
physical location.
That is a physical location.
So we do have technology where they can also go there and, like a preemptive strike, like, let me prepare, because the trending is not good here, so I can prepare.
What do you mean? I'm confused.
Just if I was to go and put in a class and say, okay, I'm interested in accounting, 200 level accounting, whatever. Not everybody's interested in 200 level accounting. So there's 7 people there. If there's 5 days before the drop deadline, maybe I can try to find some of my other geeks that may be interested into accounting, but maybe I can't. But I can start preparing. So this class is going to be dropped. I need to start preparing. But is there a place like on the internet I can just go at 1 o'clock in the morning because I'm thinking about my classes, I'm having some anxiety. Is there a place that I can go from a technology standpoint? Can I go somewhere?
Well, I think you can see how many students are currently in the class.
Okay.
I will tell you this, that I do know that there are career programs and other classes where we'll call the students when there's 4 or 5 and say, if you know other people, please
Right.
encourage them to enroll
Right.
because we may not be able to run this course.
Okay.
But I'm not sure there's a place where you can go online and then be able to get other people.
Yeah, I think we've talked a lot about moving more and more information right down to the students' phones. We're exploring that. We have, of course, the app, which we're always adding features to, a student app. And we've talked about bringing more of that down and down. But let me...
Drop app. That is awesome. A drop app. That's awesome. Really.
Yeah,
Think about it.
So, yeah,
Ellen?
If you can finish the statement, I'll make a comment.
okay. But we're getting a lot into the operations of the college. We've been talking about it for 10 or 15 minutes.
Just a suggestion.
Yeah, no, not just you, but the whole discussion. We can give you a report on all the processes and all that. Go ahead.
We were actually discussing in our student government meeting today that the app for the college, the CLC app, it doesn't work with Apple. It will take you into the app and then will automatically take you back to the home page. It'll drop you. So we're looking into getting that fixed, but a lot of students are trying to check their classes on their phones because a majority of my age now live on their phones.
Absolutely.
And
Even
yes,
my age.
it is very useful, but not very much face-to-face contact, unfortunately. But that's one of the problems that they're having, and because of it, they're also getting discouraged in the enrollment process because we can't get into your student center, and that's where you see the class, and that's where you see how many people are enrolled. You can't tell because sometimes all they have is a phone. They don't have access to a computer.
Is tech department working on
Yeah,
that?
they, no problem, they're either have just or are about to release an update that we had to install. I think there was new software that's come out with iOS, or the iPhone 6 and the new iOS update that clunked everybody out.
Yeah, is there a certain area that tends to have more drop classes than others? Is there anything we can glean off of if we looked at, these courses were dropped this semester, these courses were dropped last semester, maybe there's some courses we shouldn't be offering?
Yes, we review that data very carefully.
So is there an area where drops tend to be more plentiful?
There are multiple areas where there are courses where enrollments are dangerously low.
Yeah, such as
Some of our career programs.
the areas maybe where the labor market isn't as favorable as it used to be?
Well, it sounds like you're keeping track of what goes during various times of the year, too, in
Yeah.
terms of, spring semester, maybe these are big, but fall and winter semester, nobody's going to take them. So, I think that it's something that you can continue to look into. Bella can report back to us more that she hears from the students. David can let us know what's going on with the technology and the app for the Apple so that students can get what they need. And, we'll have some more information next month.
So the Apple problem is because of the new iPhone 6, so they sold
It's,
75 million, I heard today already. So I bet some of our students
Yeah.
have some. And so is that what it is? I mean, if they had the
We have a
earlier-
third-party platform, and it's through Blackboard, actually, which is also our learning management system, and we're waiting for them to provide the next update. We actually have a group that's meeting on the app, and we're evaluating this in the long term, and the best product for us to be there for students. It's not very robust.
Sounds like they're gonna need something though.
Does that complete your finance report? If there are no more questions then?
I do have a comment. You bring up a good point that a lot of this was operational, but as I sit here as a trustee, and the 7 of us here, plus the student trustee, that, a few years ago, we demoted the position of student affairs vice president. And I have to admit, since doing that, and I voted for it, I've been very uncomfortable without having a student affairs vice president sitting at this table and being able to talk with us about what is going on with the students and what is happening and what is being perceived out there. I think Dr. Griffin asked some very good questions that there was some hard way to get some answers for. And maybe as a board, we should be thinking in the future if that was really a good idea and how's it working out, and thinking about maybe realigning the college administration to include a vice president of student affairs. I've always thought that was a very important position here.
We're finished then with the finance report. We'll move on to an update on the master plan.
I think we're finished for the moment on this discussion. Yeah.
We're expecting more information next month.
So, can I clarify as to what you all would like me to do as a student secretary? Would you like me, what kind of information would you guys like me to get? Should I do it in a survey form? What
You
would
can do it
guys-
however you're most comfortable with it.
Well-
We're not going to dictate to you what to do, but I think what we're looking for is just for you to find out if there are specific issues that students want to address regarding the drop-add procedure in areas other than dance, since you've already brought up dance. And, do they have any suggestions or ideas that might be helpful to them? With more information, earlier information, something, would it be helpful to them?
And maybe even Dr. King might be able to help.
Absolutely.
Well, we have
Or the
an
vice president
institutional.
of student affairs.
We have certainly an institutional research area that we would call it.
I think it actually does kind of speak to the need to have some kind of formalized process to evaluate new programs from the student body standpoint. I mean, we are always looking at the administrative level, is this program working? But do we ever ask the students for feedback? And I think there should be a formalized process. And while we certainly appreciate Annabella, asking questions, but I think there could be a little bit more scientific way of gathering the data that's meaningful, and you can process that and maybe glean some things from that, and then, use that for other initiatives that impact the student in this way, and maybe, enhance the process in the future. I think there's something to say for having some kind of standardized process for student feedback.
I think we also have to take into account that some students are interested in
Right.
if they do have it.
Right.
It's another issue on top of it.
Oh, absolutely.
We have to get the students motivated to give their feedback, because if we give them a survey, they'll just exit
Well,
out.
and like anything, you always hear from the people who are dissatisfied as opposed to hearing from the people who are satisfied.
So you're
Typically,
already-
those are the ones that speak out the loudest. And, you know that that's going to be a given in whatever information you start collecting, but at least it'll give some ideas to administration in terms of what's out there.
I think that's great, because that's why you have an iPhone 3, then you have an iPhone 4, then you have an iPhone 5, and then a 5S, and you have a 6, from people who are not satisfied with the original. So I think that's awesome, that people who have negative experience speak out.